Welcome back to TNT's Blues Corner. Today we're going to go over a guitar I kind of missed in my review of my instruments, and it is my '83 Fender Stratocaster. It's a 1957 reissue. It's the first reissue that Fender ever did. I believe it was right before they purchased the company back from CBS. I don't have the book in front of me, but it's in a very well documented in a wonderful book. And maybe I'll talk about that book sometime in another episode. But there's two books out, and I forget the author. Maybe Wheeler was the last name. And he talked about the amps in great detail, and also the guitars in great detail, all the way through up until when the book was written. But anyway, today we're going to go through this guitar. This is just straight into the amp. Hear that overdrive? What's causing that? Well, I'll tell you. Let me turn it down here. I don't have to go to the floor. I don't have to do anything. All I have to do is adjust this knob, and I'm going to try to get this in frame right here. What I did with this guitar is I've installed the Eric Clapton mid-boost circuit. I routed this out. Maybe I'll include some pictures in this video if I can figure out how to do that, or maybe I'll just show some other things later in another video. But underneath the pick guard here, I routed out a perfect size for that board. I set it down in here, grounded it all down. I got a battery in here, so you have to take all this apart to change the battery, but it lasts an exceptional, just an exceptional amount of time. But what I will do in the future is, if I like this circuit and I grow to want to keep it, I will put it back here somewhere, probably up here. Route this out and put it back here. I'll do something like that. I'm not sure yet. But anyway, this body is not original to this guitar. This neck, one of the pickups, the pick guard, the part of the bridge, except for the coarse graphite or Graphtec saddles, and also the Nirvana nut, compensated nut. Everything else is original except for those things. So the body was a white acrylic paint body on, I believe, alder, and it was dead sounding. So what I did was I just stripped it down. I actually hand sanded it. I couldn't get a stripper to pull that stuff off, so I had to sand this thing down. It was a nightmare, but I finally got it down, and then I covered it in linseed oil or something like that. I forget what I actually did. It's just a rubbed on finish. It's not a painted on finish. It's a rubbed on finish, but it's a beast now. It just sings. It almost breathes, in my opinion. I really like a thin nitrocellulose, so at some point I might do that with this guitar, is maybe do a black stain nitrocellulose. Years ago in 1988, I had a late 50s, I believe it was a 58 Fender Stratocaster, and all I had was the neck again and a quart body, and that guitar and that neck was incredible. The frets were pretty much wore down, but it still played great. Flat as a board, you could have the action, just it was wonderful. But that guitar is no more. I don't know exactly what happened to it, but it's not in my possession, unfortunately. I'd love to have it back. Anyway, so what we're going to do, here I am 225 minutes or seconds into this, and I haven't even played anything. It's like TNT, just be quiet and start playing. Alright, so what we're going to do is we're going to start out with the neck, and we're going to go through this, and this is without the Eric Clapton mid-boost in place, so here we go. Now where we're at, actually with the tone, I'm going to back it off, because this also has the TBX tone control, which are on some of the newer models. I know I had I believe it was a 2002, which is not exactly a newer model, but it had this TBX circuit. And basically what it is a little more treble. You have your normal 0 to 10 range, and then you'll feel a slight notch, and then you go from there and you get like freakish treble, and that's what you just heard there. So I'm going to back it down to where it would be 10 for a standard guitar. This guitar, I hope it comes across, is so punchy. It was like this before, but it's got even more punchy and even more in your face with the tone circuit. Even though it's not in there, it still colors it some. Anyway, what I notice about this guitar, of course through my super reverb, is you can hear every note in a chord. There's no muddiness at all. Okay, we're going to move on down to the second position, which is the kind of these two here. All the quackiness that you would expect from that position. Whoops. This switch is so old that you just barely touch it and it'll move. You got to be very careful. And my attack is so strong that sometimes I'll hit it. So, how about this? All the quackiness you would expect, and more actually. This is an outstanding guitar, and you can tell it is. All this is original. Now I've done some of this, but I can't say I did it all. I bought it when I bought it. It was like this. Somebody played the absolute living crap out of this guitar. And when you find one like that, there's a reason for it, and that's because they're great guitars, and this neck is amazing. It's got a nice feel to it. It has been played. It's got beautiful checking. If you know, some people are into this kind of stuff. It's hard to probably make it out because I don't have very good light, but all original from '83. It's been through the mill. It's been played hard, and it just keeps on playing. Now I'll go into that middle, that really bright or hard attack middle. I think Kenny Wayne Shepherd plays mostly in this middle position because of that bite. You drive one of these amps. If I turn this thing up, of course, it would distort the speaker and it would blow my head pretty much off. I don't know if you've had a 64 super reverb, 65 super reverb, 66, sometime around there. I mean, even a little bit later, I guess. Sometimes you get pretty lucky because they didn't really do a lot of changes when CBS took over for the super. But it is so loud, and those 10s just pump out. I've had it up so loud that it just rattles the whole house. I live in a home that was built in 1907, and it's built with the finest materials of the time. But it just reverberates through the whole entire house. It's just a wonderful amp. But anyway, right now I've got it on, I think, maybe 1, if that. And if anybody is a Fender fan and owns Fender amplifiers, especially the old ones, you know how it is. It's 0 to 1, decent, and then above that, it starts getting too much. But for this kind of thing, live they're great. You also get some nice touch with this guitar. Somebody asked me in the past what I'm playing here. Most of the stuff is, of course, just noodling around that I play, and some of it's off the top of my head. Maybe I'm writing something new as we're talking. Some of it I've had for a while, and I just play around with it. Like that piece I just did there is part of a bigger piece that I was inspired by Robert Johnson's song "Come Into My Kitchen," I believe it's called. And then sometimes I'll play other people's songs. It might be little pieces of Hendrix or Led Zeppelin or something like that. So if you ever want to know what a piece of music is, just you put it in the comments section down here, wherever it is, and I'll be sure to answer you. Kind of include the time range and make it a little easier. Anyway, we're going to move on down to that next position, which is position 4, more quacky. Great for funk, if I could play. I don't really play much funk, but I was listening to Jaco Pastorius, I believe. I never say his last name right, because when I knew about him in the past and before he died in the late 80s, there was no internet, there was nothing like that, so all we did was we read this stuff mainly in a magazine, and I don't think I ever learned how to pronounce his name, but Jaco was, in my opinion, and a lot of people's opinion, was the greatest bass player ever lived. He was a jazz bass player and just a virtuoso of bass. I played bass some when I was younger, just because I was a guitar player. I just picked up the bass, but I never took it that far. I never played with with my fingers over here. I always used the pick or my thumb. But it's inspirational to watch Jaco. So I would say go out on the tubes. Please, after you will watch my video, or just go now. Who cares? Jaco's much better than this. But go out and find him playing with his band. The Weather Report, I believe, was the last band he was in. Probably the one he's most known for. Unbelievable jazz. His bass playing is just, whew. I'd love to play with him. I heard, just to hear some of the bass parts that he does and how it would push me, and I could just hear what I would do in my head. And that's important when you're playing music and you're listening to other people's music. Think about what you'll do. What would I do there? And it'll help you expand, and then try to play around with that. Especially if you're in a live situation, if you get to play out with somebody or jam with somebody at their house. Let them start playing something and you try to add something to it, or let them play and you think it through, and then see if you can play what you're hearing in your mind. Okay, so we're moving on down. I'll do a little bit more with this. Yeah, really thin. Now we'll go down to this really bright bridge position. Now this guitar, because everything goes through the circuit, you can control all 5 positions with the tone knob, and the TBX is in all 5 positions, as well as the what I'm going to show here in a second, the actual tone adjustment, the volume adjustment for the mid boost. It's not as much as volume as it is gain, maybe. I don't know exactly how to explain it, but it does raise the volume. Okay, so now we're going to start from this position, and I'm going to start cranking up this. This is the 5th position, or the bridge pickup, and I'm going to give a little bit of this this awesome mid boost. You can hear it come in. That's about on 4, I think. Almost gives you a humbucker sound, and that's why I think Eric Clapton likes it, because if you notice his strats, anytime he goes into a lead, you'll see him turn this knob down here, which is the bottom tone on all strats. But that is the volume, I'd say, or gain, whatever you want to call it, for the mid boost. And it you can hear it distinctively, and it gets him some of that Gibson tone that he likes from back in the day when he was playing with John Mayall on the what they call the Beano album. But it just gives more mid range and beefs up the single coils. And then I try this. Give it a little bit more. This is all the way up. I'm going to back that down just a little bit with the volume. blast out the microphone so you can hear it. So now your volume becomes like a master volume where you can turn it down a little bit, and you can turn the mid boost all the way up, and you can still get a decent control. I haven't played that for a long time. Anyway, that's that bridge position. Now, what I can do to get it to sound a little bit more like a Strat bridge with some mid boost, I turn the TBX up, and that gives me, you can hear it almost. Can you hear that? Let me turn the volume up. Sound like a wah-wah? Let me turn it, let's see. Can you hear that? And what that does is it just adds more treble. So now see what it sounds like. That's a little bit of, well, I backed up the volume. I brought the volume back up. Keep messing that up. But anyway, that's the bridge. Now we're going to just go back through, and I'm going to leave all the settings the same. So this is what the fourth position sounds like with the mid boost. So there's that. Takes a little bit of the quackiness out. Now we'll go to the middle position. Now this is with the TBX all the way up. But it's not a standard Stratocaster sound when you do this, and if you're looking for some variability in your guitar, then I would say you might want to do this, especially if you're wanting to get some humbucker sound. What I would recommend, from what I can tell now, as you can hear, I'm all the way up here, and I'm in the middle position, and there's not a whole lot of 60 cycle hum, which is a good thing. There's some, but just normal. But this guitar was silent before I put it in here. Now, if you've got a guitar that's somewhat loud already with the hum, you don't have a good circuit or a good what they call Faraday shield in here shielding your guitar electronics, then it's just going to amplify that, because this one was almost dead silent, and now I've got a little bit more sound, because it does amplify through, especially when you have this thing all the way up. You can hear it, how it gets louder, and it just amplifies the noise up through the chain. So what I'm going to do for this, I believe, is I'm going to get the noiseless pickups by Fender. I don't think I'm going to put the other ones in. I forget the company that makes them, but Fender has come a long way in their noiseless. And I played an Eric Clapton Strat with the mid boost noiseless, and I really liked it. I mean, it's not, obviously it's not a purist Strat. It's not going to sound exactly like a Strat, but it's close, and it gives you some functionality. And I've got another good Strat, and this is still a great Strat, and it still has a great sound. If I turned that off and I didn't tell you, you probably wouldn't be able to pick it up. Some of the purists out there might, because I could hear a little bit of a difference. But I actually kind of like the difference, because it gives a little bit more punch. And with this amp, with the headroom, clean headroom I have with it, it's a great thing. So now I'm going to move up here to the second position. It gives it a lot of balls. Alright, now up to the neck. Now remember, this is with, and then this would be without. And this is with a standard 10 on the tone. TBX, and bring in. So you can see how much of a boost you get there. It's great for lead. If you're playing and you're down here and you're rhythm it, back it off a little bit. So you got a little rhythm going. And you just crank this up. And if you can get fast enough with it. Anyway, I haven't practiced it enough, but I'm sure I could get it to where I could use it as a tool like that. Instead of stomping on a stomp box, you have everything right here like that. But there is my 1983 Fender Stratocaster neck with a, I believe, Warmoth older, I believe, body. And what another cool feature of this is this compensated nut. This is very surprisingly good. Most people are aware of some of the tuning issues with the guitar, just the scale and the way it is, and you know, all your chords are typically not in tune up here as they are down here. So what some people will do when they record, they'll tune, I believe the B, or maybe it's the, you remember it goes eat and drink good beer everywhere. The G or the B you can mess with, maybe flatten it a little bit. Flatten the B, flatten the G a bit, and so you're more in tune up here when you're playing. Just, it has to do with scale length, and it has to do with just the way the guitar is built. This compensates for that by, if you can make it out here, I think I explained this before, but you see how that comes out a little farther? What that does is that shortens the length from the bridge back here up to the nut, and it compensates for you know, just the way the guitar is inherently incorrect. So this guitar is pretty much in tune when it's in good intonation, which I believe it is right now. All the way up. Now this particular nut is an invasive style where I believe the nut socket might be a little bit routed out a little more. I'm not so sure about that. And then, of course, you screw it in here. And I've seen a few on there on YouTube. Actually, there's a Arvana nut demo or something like that, where they have some, I think they call them OEM, which are for manufacturers that just drop in. This one is not that style, and I think this is an early one, but it is just incredible. So whoever had this guitar before me, it was their workhorse. It was their playing guitar. It's what they made their bread and butter on, and you can just tell where this guy played a lot. Now, like I said, I've added to this some because this is where I play, and I play a little bit more up here than he must have. So I'm starting to wear it out a little bit. It's just a natural thing that happens when you have a maple neck. But he put the Graph Tech saddles down here. I did the Graph Tech string tree. I thought I'd just finish it out. And, well, maybe it was a she. I don't know. I don't want to be sexist here. But whoever it was, they really played this guitar. And it was I don't know how it ended up in the pawn shop, but they must have been in bad ways. But I think I gave $100 for it. I had another guitar I traded and a bunch of other equipment. And the guy didn't know what he had. He thought it was somebody took a Dremel tool to it. But I took one look at it and I felt it. I knew exactly what it was because I'd seen one before. Never in this bad a shape, but I'd seen an 83 before, and it was a splitting image. And then when I took it apart, I noticed in pencil underneath the finish, it had the date. I don't remember exactly what it is. It was like May something, 1983, handwritten on just like they used to do back in the 50s. And then, of course, with the back plate's got the serial number, and they should have looked at that and they would have known what it was. This neck sells in probably better condition. I don't know. Today, you know, it's hard to say what people will buy, but for $1,500, I think is what you'll find these necks when they piece these guitars out. So it's a $1,500 neck, and I got it for, I think I had $100 and some in the other guitar, and I had some pedals, maybe worth a couple $100. So, you know, maybe $400 total for the whole package. It was a steal in my point of view, but you know, as long as I enjoy it, you know, and I get a hold of it, I don't really care what I pay as long as I have the money at the time. But there's that guitar, and what I'm going to do now is I'm going to probably go on down through my others, and I'll come back to this using my AC booster. Probably not much with the tone or the excuse me, the mid boost in, but just so you can hear this thing with a slight overdrive from the Exotic Effects AC booster. So thanks for watching. I'll play you out, and I'll see you next time.